Remember this day, man. Remember this day, man. For it will be yours for all time.
We have shown them that a trembling hand can become a fist. We have challenged the idea that a slave must always know his place, accepting rod and lash because he was taught to accept it. We built their mighty republic with our hands and our blood and our lives. And we can see it fall at equal cost. You opened my eyes to this, Spartacus.
This message is for every gaslighting, dog whistling, trauma bond causing narcissist out there. With my entire heart, fuck you. Fuck you for the lives that you have destroyed with a smile on your face. Fuck you for the people who you may thought you were capable of love and making them fall in love with you. Fuck you for the torment you cause people on a daily basis and the joy you get out of destroying people's lives. With my entire being, I want you to go fuck yourself, because that's the best you deserve. That is the best you deserve. And to every victim out there of a narcissist, just know it's going to get better. And if you are a victim of narcissism, just know you didn't deserve it. So fuck you to every narcissist out there, because that's all you deserve.
What lies beneath your feet? Sacred grounds, watered with tears of blood. Shall we begin? Shall we begin? Shall we begin?
Know who you are, brothers and sisters, and never forget it. Never forget your worth. Never forget the shine that you had inside of you before you met that hoovering hobgoblin. I want you to remember everything you had to learn after healing from that terrible experience about yourself, about what real love is and what being a friend is to yourself, and how different it was before you met that narc. You are a stronger person today than you were then. And it doesn't matter what part of the trauma bond you're breaking free from, or if you have been no contact and reclaimed your power. And you are on a healing journey. You are on a spiritual journey. You are on a journey of self-discovery that will lead to the most powerful, positive person, the best version of yourself that you have ever been. Remember that. Every single day is a victory. Every day that you don't contact, look at, watch, and give a damn about what NarcX is doing is a victory of self. You have reclaimed yourself, reclaimed your power. And that is what we do here at Dragonstorm. Hail the chat. Without further ado, I would like to introduce the man whose stroke is known throughout the cosmos. The man whose reach around is astral. The Tate Chakra himself. The voice. Immortal Coil.
What is happening, my savage friends? You are listening to the voice of Immortal Coil, one of God's own prototypes, a high-powered mutant of some kind never even considered for mass production. Too weird to live, too rare to die. This video contains copywritten content, however, under the Fair Use Act, Section 504c2, Title 17 of the United States Code. This content is presented for the purposes of education and entertainment through the use of parody, satire, critique, analysis, and/or social commentary by means of subjective opinion. Viewer discretion is advised.
It is.
Hail, Stephen. Hail the chat.
Hail, brother. Hail and hail and hail. We got a guest panelist coming up today. But before we introduce this wonderful, not survivor, but a thriver, a strong voice, and someone who's building his own channel to confront narcissistic abuse and spread awareness. That's Mr. Scott Clark. His link tree is right there, guys. If you could just take a minute, go take a look at that. Go subscribe and follow him on all of his endeavors, please. Before we do that, I just want to say, hail the chat, hail the CJH. Good to see you, brother. Hail, man. Got Roman of the Empire, wonderful YouTube channel. Roman, you get a wrench, brother. You get a wrench. To be fair, put a link out to your channel for us, man. We got MC Mike Does in the house. What is up, Mike? Good to see you, bro. Hail to you. Let's see. We got Elspeth's in the chat. Yo, what's going? Yo, listen. If Beth don't show up, you might be my boo tonight. Okay. I'm just. But don't tell her because that'll cause a triangulation and it'll make the sex so much better. Thank you, Elizabeth. I appreciate you. Cool, you're supposed to yell at me at some point about this shit. What are you doing? You're the good one. You're supposed to be like, Steve, stop hitting on the audience. What's wrong with you?
That's okay. There's enough author to go around for everybody.
Oh, snap. Oh, look who it is. We got Angela in the chat.
There she is.
Angela's in the chat. I know. When all the girls show up, when the Dragonstorm Harem gets here, because they'll be here. The Dragonstorm Harem will be here tonight. What's up, Angela? Good to see you. How you doing, sweetheart? Jessica's in the house. Look, there she is. Jessica, we got two of them already. Uh-oh, it's going to be a crazy night when the girls get in the house. It's an insane night. What's up? What's how Janet Cross? How are you? Hello. Good to see you, sweetheart. Thank you for coming.
Hail to healthy, sane females. Thanks for showing up.
Healthy.
ladies.
See, Janet, listen to that. She said healthy fame. He put you in a whole nother, but you're over there with Jillian. You're with Coil's group. All right, he's got his own little collective of women that are all like high intel, like Jessica. They all brains. And he likes them smart. I don't understand. And before we start tonight, I would like to remind you all this program is sponsored by Scott's Meat. Scott's Meats are lean. They are mean. They are vasectomized. They will not get you pregnant. Please check out Sporky News Podcast and support to our brother. I love Scotty. He is Gina Carano approved.
Oh, there she is.
Mm-hmm. And if you guys would, we're going to be periodically throwing Immortal Coil's PayPal out there into the chats. And if you would please help him out, because for the love of God, he needs money and he's tired of giving blood. This poor man's been giving blood, trying to save his ass. You know, we all go through bad times. We all go through dips. And Immortal Coil needs a little help right now. So if you guys would like not super chat, maybe just throw some in his PayPal, that would be incredible. Thank you so very much. And that way, you're literally paying for the Trainwreck Express, where we are going to sleep on your couch.
Eat your food.
And we're going to make it. Build a couch.
Forts.
Listen, all of that started. I just want to say that that whole thing started because one night we were just up laughing our asses off. And what did I say? I said, oh, no, we were on it was a live stream. And I said, we were supposed to say, know your worth. We're going to sleep on your couch, eat your food. We're going to convince you of your worth. Like, that was the original joke. And I said, Coil, what are we going to do? And he said, we're going to push the couches together and we're going to make a tent for it in the living room. And then maybe we'll convince you of your worth.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Newspaper hats.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Roman. I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. You're good.
That was rude. All right, let's bring Scott up here because we just went, we just made each other go stupid. I apologize. Anyway, Angela, quick. Angela says, I'm interested in hearing Richard Grannon. He's been around a long time. Tonight, we're going to cover his video on the 3 types of supply. This is what we're going to be doing tonight. And without further ado, this has been 13 minutes. This man sitting in the back on, am I even going to be on this live stream? What the fuck? I want to introduce you to our friend, fellow survivor and thriver. This man's a very successful social media presence, had for a very long time. And then, like a lot of us, we when we're at our best is when the narc gets us. So this man's had to rebuild, had to learn to thrive, go no contact, have the strength to continue on. Glad to say he's a member of the Dragonstorm Corps, guys. Please welcome Mr. Scott Clark. What's up, Scott?
Thank you so much for having me, both Stephen and Coil. It's an honor. I've been some of you have probably seen me in the chat. I go by the Scott Clark. That's I got a wrench by my name, and I've been here for a long time, hanging out on Sunday nights and just listening for hours and being involved, asking questions, and so I was asked to swing in on camera, so I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Well,
good to have you out
in the studio. Poor Scott was like I'm a YouTuber. I'd known this for weeks. And then we started our conversation off. Like, I asked him something. He said, you haven't seen my channel? I've had to say that so many times to so many different people. Like, no. To be honest with it, no, I didn't look. Poor Scott was like, oh, okay, well. But that led to like a 20-minute conversation. We were talking. I was making lasagna. I had my grandson over. It was a great day. And I got to meet a new friend. And we were embracing Coil. Scott and I were verbally embracing.
Verbally embracing. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't make you jealous in any way. I don't want you jealous of, any connections I might make because you got me all to yourself now after Rome blew up.
I'm slightly jealous of Angela in the chat because she's like local to you. So, anybody who meets Steven, I need to ask, what's it feel like to hug the man? Is he as jolly and, kind of funny in real life?
Jolly. Yeah, that's jolly but firm. So it's like a fun jolly. Like a tight. My favorite word in the English language. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, dude. My son worked on that. We've been cooking. That's kind of been a bonding experience for us since when I went through narc abuse. We fall apart, and when we have children, it's we love them so much, but it's hard to take care of them. We're also ashamed of what we're doing. Worse, and the positions we're putting ourselves in, and it affects our kids who love us.
Yeah.
So they're going through it with you when you're going with a narcissist. And so he was my support system. My son was my rock. My son, Nathan. Yeah. He kept me alive. He kept me going during the darkest times when I didn't want to live. That was my reason for it. So now we've come to this place where I'm living with him and also his brother, whom I've never had a chance to live with. And we have the 3 boys together, and also my grandson comes over. So we're all working together and doing things together. And that's how we're bonding again and healing that experience. And one of them's been cooking. So, it's difficult when you have kids involved in those in any type of toxic relationship, that's passing on pain, them having to endure, what they have. And difficult. Silence and absence says, hello, Angela. Hello, Romano. What's up? Silence and absence.
That's my other channel. That's the one that the Go Song, Get Out, Stay Out, No Contact. So that's the channel I'm going to start talking about narcissism on.
That's awesome.
Okay. That's awesome, dude. Guys, put a link. Hold on. Let me give you a wrench on that one. and then put out a link.
I didn't even
for
know
your channel.
I didn't know I was logged in on this one. I thought I was going to come up as Scott Clark, and then I typed hello, and then it came up with
Awesome.
I guess I was logged in.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's get started, shall we? Let's take a look at Richard Grannon. I've been watching his videos. They were a little too cerebral for me at first when I was in my very angry stage. But as I've been like really made it an endeavor to learn more about cluster B personality disorders, narcissism, narcissistic personality disorder, mostly. It's just been this fun ride where I have found people who are abuse survivors who have, PhDs, doctorates. These are very intelligent people who know how to present comprehensive information in a way that is very digestible for all. So Richard has been one of those, in my opinion. Scott, are you familiar with Richard Grannon?
Yeah, I watch him I'm subscribed both on YouTube, and I also see him pop up on Instagram a lot.
And Immortal Coil, do you know who this is?
No, this is my first time. We were talking backstage. Yeah, you're popping my Richard Grannon cherry.
Oh, you're always a virgin. All right, good.
But it's, like I was talking backstage. I'm learning as I'm broadcasting with you, Stephen. Just about all the different people who are in the game. A lot of what I talk about on your stream is stuff that I've been through and stuff that I've survived. And I'm a pretty smart dude, but getting involved in this sphere and like learning all the names and actually having people like Professor Vaknin retweet us is really humbling and kind of amazing. So
it is. It absolutely is. Real quick, we got to stop. We got to stop the show. Nikki Red is in the chat, so you know what time this is now, Coil, right?
Yeah.
Which one would you like? Which one does she get? Give no F's, past mistakes, bad day, give up, or you're the problem.
I like the fucks guy. You should go.
All right.
Give no fucks. Leave your bag of fucks at home every day. Don't take a heavy bag of fucks with you every day where you are going. And give fucks to everyone and everything. Because then you will go home tired and exhausted from carrying around a heavy bag of fucks. Instead, empty your bag of fucks at home. Leave all your fucks locked up in your fucks cupboard and save them for special occasion. And instead go out into the world with an empty bag to fill with the good energy. You will be much happier living a fucksless existence. So give no fucks.
Be like Nikki Red and give no fucks. We love you, sister. Good to see you. Lizzie's in the chat.
Lizzie.
Okay. Before we get started, and now we're just waiting for Beth. We're just waiting for Beth now, ladies. All right, Lizzie, you wait your turn. We're gonna get you up there soon. All right. All right. Good to see you, sweetheart. All right. Let us. So how we do the Scott is if you want to make a point, just speak up, and we'll pause the video. This looks like it's in 3 or 4 sections, so we might just, if we get to the first section, I'll end it at the first section. All right. Alrighty, guys. Let's do it.
Roll.
Narcissistic supply was first identified by Otto Fenichel, a psychoanalyst, in 1938, and he identified it as being a way for the individual to garner admiration and support and validation in order to bolster their self-esteem. When we're studying narcissistic personality disorder, there are 3 elements of narcissistic supply that you need to understand in order to understand the behavior and the drives of the narcissist. Number 1, narcissistic supply is primarily there in the narcissist to help them bolster their grandiose, delusional self-image. So in the online space, when we're talking about narcissism, there's a certain angle that most of us have taken. It's not wrong, it's just I think that we're focusing perhaps on the wrong things. And what's very important to focus on now is this grandiose, delusional, false self. So why is that important? Because if you're sat there and you're saying, oh, well, I split up with the narcissist, or I'm in a relationship with a narcissist, I don't understand why he does what he does. I don't understand why she says what she says. It's very confusing for me. Start with the false self. This is a person who's living half in and half out of this reality. They have chosen, they prefer to be in a grandiose, delusional version of reality that they're constantly creating moment by moment. And the narcissistic supply is the fuel that keeps that dream alive. The second thing.
So I think that one of the reasons, and I've said this before, is imagine all of the energy that it takes in order to create a false reality, to sustain lies, to constantly be combative, to manufacture half of your life, like as he says, or your entire life, instead of just facing things and being productive. And I think that's one of the reasons why most times when you're with a narcissist, or at least the experiences I've heard, not all, but they take away from your productivity. It's like the energetically, they're taking away from your positivity and progression.
Well, yeah, they're literally siphoning energy off your field, man. Metaphysically, if you could observe the aura, you'd see that there was and I sent you a picture of this once, but you'll see that there's like a one direction, because they can't create it for themselves. They need it from you. Plus, apparently, they're spending all their own energy just creating this and projecting this persona. Because they don't. It's like they don't even believe it themselves, but they need everybody else to. You are stronger than your ex-narc person. They needed your energy that entire time because they can't do it for themselves. So it's interesting. It's like a full-time job, just creating this persona.
Yeah. What do you think, Scott? Do you think what do you think of the narcissist and how they create this world around them? They put all this energy into lying and being fake.
Yeah, so I had a very close relationship. I don't want to, in private, you guys, I tell you some things, but publicly, I want to try to, protect myself.
Absolutely.
Because if you expose them, they could get a lot worse. So I was in a relationship. I've actually had two relationships with females that one was 20 years ago and one was a few years ago, where I really trusted, I've had numerous girlfriends. And most of them are just normal, and you trust them, and they give you their trust, and you give them their trust, and you try to work on something, and eventually maybe you just sort of fall apart, and that happens as normal relationships, and then you don't stalk each other after it's over. But with these other types of personalities, you go into the relationship with the same feeling. You're like, okay, if you do it wrong, you give trust without letting them earn it first, and I'm guilty of that. And what they'll do is they'll take that and they're telling you lies and you don't know it because you've given them trust. And so they continually lying and you don't know it. You can't really tell because they're small or medium sized and it hasn't gone over the top yet. And you haven't caught them yet. The last relationship I was in, I ended up catching this person in some big lies. And then I found myself confronting those lies, and they would actually spin it back around, play it down, spin it back around, and then I'd keep believing them. And I'm not I wasn't paying attention to the warning signs. And once the whole thing, after years go by, the whole thing just completely explodes, and you realize, I think everything was lies. They sucked me into a fantasy world. And you just, when you go back and you start just revisiting it all in your mind, you don't know what was real and what was not. If they told stories about this person or that person or their family or their friends or what happened to them in the past and all this kind of stuff that wasn't really in front of you. It was a lot of just words. And the whole thing was this belief system that they created in you. And you realize, how in the world does someone live like that? Because me, I can't lie to save my life. I'm just way too transparent, way too honest, I think I said too much. And these people literally just spin lies constantly. And like you alluded to it earlier, Coil, you just said like they just suck your energy out, and it's because you can't keep up with them, and they don't stop, and they're energy vampire. I wrote a song called Vampires in February, and it's just a typical rock song, and it's about that. It's about the energy vampire, and it's just mind blowing once you get out of it and you separate enough from it, and you realize this was the most insane relationship I've ever been in. I think it was a fantasy world. I think that person's not real. I don't even know who you are.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are. And that's like actually scary.
We get so diluted by the rush of emotions, and especially like the narcissist person, they will try to create emotional highs and lows. They thrive off of that conflict. And yeah, there's definitely some form of vampirism there. I agree.
The supply, I've been trying to, like, Richard's been very helpful for me, Stephen. I really like his stuff. Sometimes he gets a little over my head, but it's okay. I watch what I can, but I do subscribe to his YouTube channel, and he's really good at just sort of in the book smart sense of having us understand what this supply thing is, because normal people, we don't need that. Like, what is this? When I first heard about this, I came out of a narcissistic abusive relationship a couple of years ago, and I had to learn all about this. I didn't know that there was this relationship. It had me just, I think I said, Stephen, that when I got out of this, I got discarded in a horrible way, like chewed up like a piece of gum that lost its flavor. And then that's how I was treated. And, I was 30 pounds overweight. I was drinking. I was not taking care of myself. I was suicidal almost. I mean, I was entertaining those thoughts. I was like, I don't need to live anymore. That I don't have a reason. There's no purpose for me to be here, because she stole my trajectory of like my life and where I was going and what I wanted to do. I got taken so off course that I couldn't even see that anymore. I couldn't even see what was I doing just a couple of years prior. I couldn't even see it. And it's just, you realize that they're living off of getting your energy. Is it narcissistic supply? It's like they need a reaction from you, right? And that's why going gray rock, get out, stay out, no contact. Gray rock, meaning like if they provoke you, if they try to get into your life, phone calls, texts, flying monkeys are coming around. You literally have to learn what stoicism is. I subscribe to a lot of channels that do these AI videos about stoicism, and just learning how to you don't let them get to you. Because if you let them get to you and you react, and I'm very emotional, like Stephen and I were probably similar, because we're just like, I can easily just go, like I'm just like that, right? That's just me. I'm not stoic. And that's why I'm targeted, is because they're like, I could totally get supply out of this guy because he's reactionary, because I feel stuff, right? And that's the weakness, or that's what they perceive as weakness, or that's what they perceive as food. And so they'll love bomb you. So you're like, oh my God, like you buy me a guitar or something, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Thank you so much. And they like that. But they will also steal the guitar, and you'll be like, where's my guitar? Oh, I don't know. I think someone stole it. What? And then they feed off of that. Yeah. And then it's like, and they'll do that over and over and over and over until you can't believe that you're living like this, because it's not normal. And why are you keeping this person in your life? And it's because for some reason you think you get something out of it, or because the trauma bond is so strong. There's a lot you're so much invested that you think you could stop them from behaving bad, but they really don't. The cycles just go around and around, and it just continues tightening and twisting and tightening this trauma bond around your neck.
Yeah.
And they act really nice after a period of putting you in WTF mode. They act really nice, and you're like, okay, it's over. Okay, I think I could do this. We could do this. We could just, you're going to be loving and sweet again? Okay, that's good. And then the drama comes back around, and it never lets up. It's just a yo-yo. You're just a yo-yo. up, down, up, down, up, down, and they feed on it. And I think that's kind of what, I don't know. Stephen, how do you explain supply to you? Is it just, it's just feeding off of your emotions? That's how I wrote about it in my song. I think you're muted.
Yeah.
Sorry, you are an object. You are an it. You are a thing. And the narcissist is a puppet master. That is the person they're playing a game. And they have this board of life with all the people in it, whether they're kids or family or wherever it is. Everyone's a thing. And they get off on the feeling of control of moving these things around, having their things fight with each other, having their things feel as depressed and horrible as they do inside. And all of that feeling of control, that need for supply, comes from needing strength, needing attention from outside the narcissistic shell. Because if they don't have that, then they have to start pulling on themselves. They have to start pulling on their own power, their own personal energy. And that means facing their broken inner child, their shame, the realization of who exactly they are. I think Bashir, one of the other coaches that I followed, says, you want to really hurt a narcissist when they have no supply? Ask the question, who are you?
Yeah.
Because then they will have to look in themselves, and that will cause a collapse. They need supply in order to keep from facing who they really are. They need that feeling of control over everyone else so that they don't face the lack of control they have in their addictive, broken personalities. That's how I see it.
It's all external validation is basically
all external.
That's the supply is external validation.
Yeah. Yes,
and then as the other person in the relationship, we're making the mistake that the way that we're loving them is how they love us, but they don't. Their love is broken. It's more like, instead of I love you very much, it's like I trade you very much, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's a manipulation ship. It is a situation ship. We're in a relationship alone. The narcissist is in a manipulation ship. Or if they're on the down and outs, a situation ship. You know, they're not mine. I heard them online, but they're very true. Let's go to the chat real quick and get a couple comments before we move on into the next part. Jessica, what's up, sweetheart? She says, avoid getting emotionally connected to them for a few years because they can always be acting and lying. Yes, you need, even if you have to see them again or don't, or you run into them, you need that time in order to learn how to control your emotions. Like Scott was saying, we get very reactionary, and especially passionate people or compassionate people with weak boundaries. We get over-emotional, over-invested. So learning to control your emotions, learning to see them for who they are, like you got to say it over and over again in your head. You've got to keep repeating it in your head until it is solid. There is no saving them. There is no, they're going to lie. It's all lies. Nothing is truth. And it's all going to lead to the same place every single time, which is them causing drama, getting off on it, and then blaming you for it. It's always the same loop. Well said, Jessica.
Before you move on, you just mentioned mentioned taking the narcissist down when they're at their lowest by asking them, who are you? And what you reminded me of, I just looked it up, was the Foo Fighters song, The Pretender. I think that song is about this subject. Just the opening line is, keep you in the dark, you know they all pretend, keep you in the dark, and so it all began. The bridge of the song is, so who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? Yeah, who are you? Keep you in the dark, you know that they all pretend. And so it's kind of like, that is the line. Because I remember when I got into, it was right before the discard of my relationship. I remember telling her a horror story about a former narcissist, and I didn't know what narcissism was. I was just telling her a story, looking for a little bit of empathy about something that happened to me 20 years ago with another narc that I didn't even know any of this about until recently. Thinking back, like, oh my gosh, now I understand what all this was.
Yeah, those new eyes work in retrospect, don't they?
Yeah. I told her this story about getting discarded, about a breakup that I had, and it was just this horrible thing. I told her this story, and I was looking for some empathy and I told her about all these things that happened. And I remember she just stared at me, and I'm like, hello? I'm like, did you hear what I just said? Isn't that terrible that someone would do that to me? And she's like, I'm like, don't you have any empathy? And she's like, empathy. Yeah, empathy. Don't you have any empathy for? I'm trying to like connect with you here. And that's one way to do that. She's like, I don't think I have empathy. And
Wow.
I didn't even think, she actually said that. And I didn't even know what narcissism was at the time until everything blew up. But in retrospect, I think back and I'm like, that's what that was. She was admitting, knowing that I didn't know anything about narcissism. Maybe she didn't even, I don't know. But I literally had to give her the definition of empathy. And she said, I don't think I have that.
How young was she?
40.
I mean, how young were you guys?
40.
Oh,
something.
really? Oh, really? Wow. I mean, well, on the other hand, she could be playing you. You know, she could say, "Oh, she could be a psychopath."
She didn't know that we had never talked about narcissism. I never accused her of it. So I was in the dark about all of that at the time. She didn't know that. She didn't think that was going to be a problem for being exposed. But she just said, I was directly looking for it. I'm like, I could use, I'm telling you this story. I've got, here's some wonderful things about my life, the things that I'm proud of, and here's some stuff that I'm not proud of. Here's some things that have happened to me in the past. People wasn't very nice, and I was hoping to get some empathy. And she literally just stared at me, blank stare, nothing there. Who are you?
So, Scotty, let me get this right. You were hunting for. He was hunting for a red flag, found it, and then explained why it was, and she still didn't know. Did you get out of there?
I stayed in it until it exploded in my face because I didn't know what I was dealing with. I hear you. That's one of those hindsight things. I remember I told her this story looking for empathy. Now I know why she said she didn't have any, because she's literally one of these people that doesn't have it. Now I know what that is.
Well, it's crazy, like how much almost it's like switch-like with them. Like they can just turn off the love switch, and we've worked for years to come to this place of love, and then like we get dropped, and then we have to like fall out of love with them, and that's a painful process, man. And the fact that they lack empathy means that they just can't conceive of what we're going through. They're probably already on to the next person, Yeah,
that's what they do. They got when they start, when the evaluation starts, they're already looking. Once they get to that point where they're really just disrespecting you, there's somebody else out there. They've already got another supply lined up. The MC Mike Duds comes through and says, if you watch the wheel spin, you will notice it's unbalanced, or it's not balanced. Yeah. We figured that out after the fact, though, Mike. That wheel was definitely not balanced. Lizzie says it's 24/7 chaos. Absolutely.
That's supply. That's how they get the supplies. They create chaos.
Yeah. Roman, actually, he's talking about, I haven't said anything about this publicly, but Roman says, we're still fighting one of these creatures. Stephen is aware everything he does is designed to cause pain, and there is zero truth in anything he says to himself or others. It's quite a thing. Again, my love to her and everybody involved. And just, man, thank you for being here and supporting. You got to just continue to support them when you're dealing with someone, when you are trying to love, help, be compassionate, support someone who is going through such a horrible discard phase that it's gone to the point that it's gone. They really need that support system there, because a narcissist, or a malignant especially, will manipulate someone and break them and crash them over and over again to the point where they want to die. They begin to question whether or not they want to live and go on because they can't see a future. So what you're doing right now, Roman, is a beautiful thing, and all my love to you and your endeavors and all the friends of that victim, that survivor, because we are here, and she is also Dragonstorm, brother. Let's see. Janet Cross says, I like Richard Grannon a lot, as well as Hario Ovedtop. I don't know if I know that one. Janet, will you do me a favor after the stream and leave that name in the comments for me, if you remember? I appreciate that. I'll take a look at him. Colby's in the chat. What's going on, Colby? He says, to understand narcissistic abuse is for someone to have experienced their abuse. Yes. You don't know. So just today, I mean, we're going to get into the next section in a few minutes, guys, but I just want to mention, like, just today, I was working with a group of people that I don't really know very well, began talking to the wife that was there, come to find out. Her last relationship was a narcissist. She went through, she didn't say narcissist, she just told me about the events, and I saw the abuse cycle unfold, and then her condition, her going to therapy, what for? And I was just like, so he was a narcissist? And she said, yes. I said, I understand. And then we instantly connected, because you have two survivors of narcissistic abuse discovering that they've been through, similar experiences. And because these demons are so predictable. They're different in the ways that they do but in the ways that they commit to their abuse to get their supply. But the wheel of abuse is so familiar that you just know it. You just understand what that person went through. And so I found like a real connection to almost damn near a complete stranger. And that is, Colibri, that is, there's no more truth than saying a person who has not been through it really can't understand it. They're just not, and that's why it's so important for us to be together, spread awareness, and support one another, like Roman's doing for his friend.
Yeah. Well, there's people who straight up, that's okay. There's people who straight up try to minimize the experience that we went through, and they don't characterize it as an abuse because they weren't there. They didn't see like all the, they're getting the public show, right? That whole persona that's trying to be projected. They don't see the shit at home that happens to us. They don't see our pain. And especially if it's like a male who's the victim of abuse. We were kind of talking about this backstage.
Every time.
Yeah. It's like, okay, right. You just got to suck it up, buttercup, and get on with life, Yeah,
they don't understand. This chick keeps coming back over and over and over again, no matter what she's saying or what her friends are saying. She's the one initiating that abuse over and over and over.
Yep.
But it's also the voices that remain in your head. You remember the things that they say, and it's really hard to get those things out.
Well, they're planted there. Those are triggers that they plant in your head, just like they sabotage birthdays and certain events, because it's guaranteed trauma. They know they're going to play off of it. My Narc X person A, whatever, she used to say to me, "I know you miss me. I know you're thinking about me." And so that's one of the hoovering states. It's they're methodical. They understand when you get to a certain age, most especially, they understand because of trial and error and doing it for so long, how exactly to get into a man's head, how to challenge him, how to challenge his masculinity, how to challenge his identity, what she can use sexually or as a woman in order to, break down, infiltrate, have control, demoralize, emasculate a man. This is their function. This is what, narcissistic women do. And the same with narcissistic men too, women or gays. I'm sure, not that I'm advocating putting anything up your butt. I'm just saying. This channel is not homophobic. Okay. So do you want to continue on, or does anybody have anything else they'd like to say?
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Just want to make sure. That was a lot of talking for fun. Yo, Gannon, thank you, bro. Thank you, Grannon. You had us talking for like 4 minutes, a minute and 40 seconds. You had us talking for a half hour.
The thing I want you to understand is that when you're inside of a relationship with a narcissist, you are their narcissistic supply. Yes, we all know that. They want their narcissistic supply as a form of admiration and validation. Yes, we all know that. But the point of the narcissistic supply is less about like a vampire stealing blood, stealing energy from you, drinking your milkshake, and more about trying to keep a fantasy going. So I've spoken in other places about the matrix of narcissistic abuse, and that the payoff of two people entering into this dyad together, the narcissist and their followers, the narcissist and their cult followers, the narcissist and their lover, their spouse, the narcissistic parent and their children and the other family members who they use and exploit. The purpose of leveraging narcissistic supply from people is actually to feed the machine of the matrix. So if you think about a narcissistic relationship and you imagine the scene in the Matrix where everybody was in a pod and everybody's effectively a human battery and they're having their life fluids drawn from them and nutrients being given to them. In exchange for that, they live in a simulated reality. So the people in the Matrix were getting something out of the bargain. They were getting a fantasy version of life. The narcissistic supply is there to feed the machine. It's there. So don't think, so if you imagine a vampire, so we've got two different mythologies here. You can either go fantasy or sci-fi. Always go sci-fi. The fantasy version would be, this is a vampire. I'm the narcissist. I take my target and I drink her blood and I'm getting narcissistic supply. yes, at a white belt level, that's not an incorrect way of understanding what's going on. But at a black belt level, I actually am not consuming anything directly as a narcissist. I am also a fellow worshipper in a certain sense of the false self, this icon, this Moloch that requires sacrifice. I'm enticing you, manipulating you, charming you, threatening you, seducing you, whatever I can to get you to give admiration and adulation to the machine, to the Moloch, to keep the fantasy that I'm in, that my survival is dependent upon, alive. And when you enter into that space with me, when you're in that shared fantasy and that matrix simulation with me, you will start to absorb my coordinates, and you will also start to feel quite unconsciously like it's very important to keep the dream alive. Remember how you defended the narcissist, how you continue sometimes to defend the narcissist? Do you remember how sometimes you forget when they've done a bad thing? It's almost like they do something horrible and you just blank it out. You dissociate and blank it out. That's because you're now coerced into being a member of their cult in order to continue to get your payoff. You didn't agree to any of this consciously, of course. It's all part of the covert contract. The third...
Whoa, that's a lot to unpack. Coil, do you want to preach on that? I heard you going a couple times.
Well, so the biggest takeaway for me from that little last segment was, again, how much of an investment it is for this person to create this fiction around themselves. The guy is pretty cerebral. I'll give you that. He's had this well thought out, so I can appreciate the dedication that he put into it. But it's interesting in the sense that true friendships and true relationships are circular. Okay, if you leave an interaction with someone and you feel drained, like they just like yanked the cord out of you and forgot to recharge you, that's a sign that you're in a one-way relationship where energy's flowing out of you and into this other person, and they don't even give two shits to try to even ask you how your day is going. You know, it's all about them. Whereas if you're engaged in healthy relationships, you both charge each other up, and it's almost like the energy is a third entity in itself. So it becomes all about the investment and the image that's being created, and it's a false image. You know, I mean, I've seen it in the chat a couple of times. People have been talking about dead, soulless eyes and, you know, lack of empathy. That's a non-person there. They're relying on your energy to operate. So
to operate, to sustain themselves. I like how he put it as a matrix, and he also mentioned the vampirism. Scott, you wrote a song about called Vampire about that. Like, so tell us a little bit your thoughts on his explanation of the Moloch.
Yeah, it is. They use their children to feed upon. They use other people to feed upon. It's literally just getting this thing called supply. They need external validation constantly, just constantly. And that is a thing that is, people that don't have this disorder, we are encouraged. Like when I started to take care of myself, I started going to the gym after I got out of my last situation, which was really bad. I keep this with me just as a reminder that I survived something that literally was about to kill me. It's a little rock that I keep in my pocket. Survivor. And I had to learn about healthcare, meditation, breathing exercises, working out, being physical, and I had to realize that this person was feeding on me, and literally almost I felt like my soul. I didn't even know who I was anymore. I lost my own identity. I lost all of my hobbies, my habits, my routines that's what we are. We are our routine. We are what we do. Words mean nothing. We are what we do. And I stopped doing everything that I used to do. I'm still kind of traumatized by it, but I'm still getting over it. But the self-care part of it is realizing that I even had to write it down on a piece of paper and like stick it on my fridge. No external validation. I don't care what anyone says. I need to be secure in and of myself and validate myself by trusting myself. And the way that I start trusting myself is I do what I say I'm going to do. I make a habit. If I say I'm going to go to the gym every day, every week, every day this week, then I go to the gym every day that week. And eventually with those kinds of patterns, I can trust myself again. But when you don't trust yourself, like a narc, I don't believe they trust themselves at all because they're lying all the time. Right. And so there's no possibility of having internal validation for themselves because they don't even trust themselves. So everything is external. That means that all the food is out there. And there's no internal like recharging of their battery. It's literally everything is external. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. Richard is great, but like you said, Coil, he's very cerebral. And sometimes it's like, okay, I got to rewind this again.
God, I do the same thing. I'll be honest. I'm learning a lot of new words. But also the concepts when I was first breaking out of trauma bond, I was angry for a long time. I will admit that. And I was reactionary. And so because I still wanted to be reactionary and hateful, there were some things where like, this is too good of an explanation. They're a demon. F them. Evil should be fought. You know, like I just went right to that base chakra, the animal instinct. But as I've cooled and calmed down and began to feel love for myself and regulated my emotions and my body, once again, I'm able to take in these insights from, highly intellectual narcissistic abuse coaches who explain this in ways that, it's not taking away from the fact that, look, that person had a lack of empathy and they were a liar. And you could call them evil. I think you could if they living like that and living off of people and destroying people. And that's how they go through their day to day.
That's what your intro, the guy in the car with the beard, your intro.
Yeah.
That's
how I feel. That's kind of how I feel. But you know what the problem is? Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
In a very real way, like when the relationship ends, it's kind of like a part of us dies because we've been we've been supporting that thing, and instead of like an us or a we, you're suddenly I, and then how the hell am I supposed to survive? I think like you're saying, Scott, going to the gym, getting healthy, getting your head space together. But we spent so much time investing into this relationship that we find out is basically a fantasy that's been going on inside our heads. It's like we're listening to a shitty tape and trying to tell ourselves that it sounds pretty good, but it's not.
Right. Right. Beautiful. So real quick, I just want to go through a few comments in the chat. Valerie says, it's so easy for suspect narcs to say we ought to forgive and move on. I personally feel to forgive myself that I got into their evil trap. Now it's time for me to have better boundaries. Yeah, you don't have to forgive them. You can put down those bricks, but I think that we have part of the cycle of us going back and back over and over again was forgiving and letting go, over and over. And so I don't think forgiving them is necessarily the best route to take. You have to forgive yourself, because if you don't admit that you let yourself down and you put yourself through this, then you're not going to be able to, taking accountability for your actions will help to fix the problem. Like you said, now it's time for me to move on and have better boundaries. And you're right, because you've learned, you looked at yourself, you introspected, what did I do wrong? How did I fail myself? And that is part of, I'll always press this, take this as a learning experience, become a better version of who you are. So hail to you, Flyer. Also, Clint says, I'm in the middle of all this and I don't know anything, and was labeling each action and character trait to a T, and found these exact labels through many sources within the last 5 months, which, let me see, there's a ... might be another part, which seized my attention so hard that I finally realized the exactness and script of these type of people, and real and precise. I never would have known otherwise unless I found Richard. Beautiful. See there, and that is the story that I have had with many different narc abuse coaches. I didn't know what the hell was going on, what I was going through. I was looking for answers, trying to figure out what was wrong with my, the person I love. And then I found a narc abuse coach, and you just go down this rabbit hole of learning, and you get sucked in because everything they're talking about is exactly what you went through to some degree. Yeah. There's different types of narcs, but that wheel of abuse is the same exact thing. The wheels on the bus go round and round, and it never stops. So yeah, Clint, I'm glad that Richard was definitely a good one to find at first. Do you guys Scott, do you remember the first narc abuse channel you ever started watching to figure out what was going on?
Yeah, I had just been discarded horribly, and all of a sudden I found myself homeless, and in a hotel, and I was talking to a friend on the phone, completely confused, wondering what is going on. Talked for a number of hours, explaining everything, and then what she told me was, "I'm going to send you. Let me text you a couple of links, and because it sounds like you're describing something that she had been through with her ex." And she sent me 2 links on YouTube to Dr. Romani, and who is the therapist, the psychologist. Do you know who Dr. Romani is?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I know her very well.
Okay.
I love her.
So that was the first person that I heard about, and it was a video about narcissism, and I listened very intently, and it blew my mind. My jaw was on the floor, and I'm like, there's a name for this? Like, everything I'm going through was so confusing. I didn't know that it was a long game. I didn't know that there were all these people that do the same damn thing over and over with minor adjustments for their victim, but it's the same cycle over and over and over. And these people it's almost like a network of demons that do the same thing while they're possessing people. That's what it feels like. How else do these people, like, you don't go to school to learn how to be a narcissist. How are these people doing the same thing? The love bombing, the devaluing, the discard, the Hoover, the love bombing, the devaluing, the discard, the Hoover. How do they know how to do? Where do you learn that in the first place? How do you start that cycle with people? And I started to really believe that it was a demonic situation, which we could talk about if you want, that goes into the dark areas. But so it was Dr. Romani was the first that somebody shared Dr. Romani video. And then I went down the rabbit hole, and now I watch a whole bunch of people. And that's how I found you, Stephen. And then that's how I found you, Coil, I found Coil here, and I found Stephen because of probably a short that you did, and you just nailed home. Like, you have this way, Steve. Everybody knows. Everybody's here because Stephen has this way with words, right? Everybody's here because they saw something that Stephen did, and he just like rattles off in 10 minutes, like an hour's worth of stuff that somebody else would say. And it just cuts. There's no fat. It's all meat, and it's just bam, 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 bam. And you're like, yes, say it. Subscribing to this guy. Who's this guy?
He's here. I like him a little more than you, Coil. He's here and said that. He was like, see, you use this meat, nothing but earth and girth around here, baby. That's what you're getting. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Real quick, they thrive on codependent people with weak boundaries and low self-esteem. What are you trying to say about me? What are you trying to say, Angela? What are you trying?
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Yeah, that was me. I love you, sweetheart. All right, let's. Nikki Red out there said, I realized I was dealing with a legion. Soul ties are real. Yeah, well, I mean, they're evil, and Angela says the hardest narcissistic relation to break free from is a parent-child relationship. You know what's strange, Angela? It's like I found I had a narcissistic parent through figuring out what a narcissist was. I didn't realize I got away from that as far as I could. And every time that I went back into it, my life would spiral. And I didn't realize that till into my 40s. But now it's like I don't want to punish them. Like, I look back at my history and I'm like, all right, I see all this narc shit you did to me, and you programmed me to go out with these horrible bitches. But I'm not taking... But he's frail now. He can't walk all that well. My man's had his karma. So I love my dad. And when I see him, if I got a gray rock him, I gray rock him. But to be fair, there is that other half of the time like he's narky. He's not a narcissist. He's narky. So there's like this other half of the time when he's just like someone I really enjoy being around and love talking about. I love talking about. He gave me my love of Star Trek, the Beatles. There are things that he has positive aspects that I wish to continue on the family line. But it's just when he gets narky, I'm like, no, Dad, no, we're not doing this today. We're not doing this. I'm not.
Gillian, I just see in the chat right here, Gillian says, probably because I was just bringing up the whole cycle, like how do these people know how to do the same cycle over and over? And Gillian says, at least we're able to anticipate their BS. Yeah, that's the positive.
That is the positive, absolutely.
That's their weakness, is that it's literally, this is a categorized psychological thing that you could, once you learn about it, it's not random.
Well, okay, but once you learn about it, though, you may still be susceptible to it.
Right.
It's creating strong boundaries. Also, what I think, Scott, their hook in us is how much we love them. That's at least for the relationship aspect. And they look for the people that are head over heels, go all in and love.
Yep.
We
love hard.
We love hard. And that I think is the greatest weakness. Coyle, what do you think is the greatest weakness to narcissism? Narcissist.
I suppose the levels of self-delusion that we tell ourselves when we're dealing with those people, like, oh, maybe they're just having a bad day, or maybe if I love them a little bit more, or maybe if I just let this one slide, it does take a lot of inner work, and especially like after we've been torn down to the point where we were just like discarded. We have to believe in our own worth and be willing to actually say no to somebody if they're being abusive, or to just straight out call it and be like, I don't like the way you're treating me. You're not being a kind human, but also as we develop that awareness, we can kind of feel it before it even happens. And you're like, okay, that person, I need to stay the fuck away from. So it's all about self and about accountability. It's tempting to say like, this person abused me, but you also have allowed yourself to be abused because there was something missing from your life that you felt like this person could provide. We got to be strong, and especially like guys, and especially guys like us who love hard and just, want to be that person, we gotta elevate the level of consciousness of our friends who we're surrounding ourselves with. I'm glad to see that you took that to heart, Stephen. You've been putting out little images that say like, take care to keep your circle small because you're defined by your friends, all that kind of stuff. We need to hang out with better people as we become a better person ourselves. Well,
I think they gravitate to us, and that comes with having boundaries, because people who aren't supposed to be there will drift away, or if they're toxic, they're going to challenge and not respect you, and it's easy to just brush them off. And you don't need to call it out. You just let them go and attract the healthy people that are on the same path as you. They will come to you. MC Mike Dunn says weaknesses: money, drugs, alcohol, sex, all weaknesses. Did we share the same Narc-X, Mike? I'm just wondering. Are you in the Northeast? Were we triangulated and didn't know, buddy? Because you seem to have lived my life. Yeah. It's a shame, Mike. Isn't it? The fun times. You can't have fun with the devil. All right, let's continue on to the next part.
Third thing I would like everybody to understand who's really seeking to free themselves from narcissistic abuse and to just get back on with a normal life is it's never egalitarian. It's never horizontal. It's never a case of one adult, another adult, and they're in a transaction with each other where they're giving and receiving. It can only ever be vertical. The power dynamic must be vertical, not horizontal. They must be above you. It's never adult. It's always going to be parent-child, and they're taking from you. They don't want you to offer them authentic love. They have zero interest in authentic love. Stop thinking you can love them better. You can't. They're not interested. Even if they were interested, they have no place to put that love, because they can't reflect it back. So they have no empathy. So it's meaningless to them for you to say, I love you, I love the essence of you, and you're eye to eye, two vulnerable human beings in a room saying, I really love who you are. It's meaningless. It slides off. First of all, they don't want to receive anything horizontally. Second of all, this is all part of part 3, they don't actually want it for themselves. It's a kind of a delusional psychotic personality disorder that's dissociative, that fetishizes this third entity. There's you and the other followers, the other family members. If I'm a narcissistic boss, my business becomes my cult. If I'm a narcissistic gym owner, my personal trainers and my gym goers are my cult. I'm not taking it directly. I can't. I actually don't have the equipment to take love, validation, even adulation. I'm fundamentally psychotic, delusional, and grandiose, but dissociative, and I'm voyeuristic. So I'm taking your love and adulation, and it never goes to me. It goes to the Moloch. It goes to the false self. It goes to the matrix machine. I hope that makes sense. It's a subtle distinction, but I think if you don't have these subtle distinctions, you can stay stuck for longer than you need to because of the bewilderment. When you're bewildered, when you're lost in the bewilderness, your mind is just full of intrigue. And when you have, it's like a puzzle that you can't solve, or a great movie that you never got to see the conclusion of. Your brain is just going, why did that happen? Why did the intrigue keeps you locked in? When you understand the subtleties and the nuances of this, you'd be like, oh, they're not actually taking it to themselves. They're taking it to a third entity, this fetishized, voyeuristic third entity that they're also part of the blood sacrifice. They sacrifice their authentic self for the Moloch, this bloodthirsty, evil, primitive god that demands daily sacrifice. They're also part of the sacrifice. But they delusionally split and see themselves. They wish to be that god. They wish to be that icon that's above everybody else and just staring down their nose. But they can only pull that fantasy off some of the time. Some of the time the fantasy diminishes and the voices, the superego injunctions in their head are saying, you're not really godlike, are you? You're useless and worthless. And when that voice comes up, and they're not in narcissistic elation, when they're full of supply, when they go into narcissistic depletion, you will see them depressed. You will see them anxious. They become very clingy. They become very insecure. They become perhaps very irritable and very, very angry because they're not in narcissistic elation. They're actually fiending for narcissistic supply. So it's very important that you also understand it can't be delivered adult-adult. It's only ever delivered vertically, parent-child. So there's always a domination element to all of this. They don't want love. Forget about love. They don't want it. They can't do anything with your love. It doesn't help them. They need adulation. They need admiration or terror. Terror. All the things that affirm, I am low, you are high. You are the cult leader. I am the cult follower.
Oh my Lord, that is so true. Yeah. And it's when they love bomb you, as they breadcrumb you guys, they bring you to a point where it's like, well, you're in my sphere. You're never my equal. You know, every now and again when you really need it, they'll make you feel like an equal. But it's always about they have control. And if you do something they don't want, it's your fault. They will put you on timeout. They will block you. You know, like they will. It's all about feeling of domination over someone else, again, because they have a lack of control inside. That's how I see it.
Well, it's interesting, too, how he talked about narcissists when they get into positions of authority, because if they're thinking hierarchically, of course, they'd want to set themselves up so that they would have underlings that they can dump their shit onto. This guy's pretty smart. I feel like as we're having this discussion amongst us three, and with the chat, of course, the points that we cover, he touches on. So that's how I know that we're kind of on the same page with this guy. He's pretty good. I like him.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Scott. How did you feel? Did you feel like you were made to feel submissive, under control, played with?
After time, in the beginning, of course, you don't. During the love bomb stage, none of this is your experience until once the devaluation period starts to happen, then you realize that you're being controlled. Then you realize that you are you feel below them. You feel like you're, and they demand that you give up control. You know, in a marriage situation, it can be pretty bad because there's a lot at stake. What I loved what he said, it was so true that like on a regular relationship, you consider your friend your equal, and you don't do this to your friend because that's not kind, right? And you stay at the same level, and you believe that you are interacting with somebody at an eye-to-eye basis. But with the narcissist, you start realizing that, boy, they are controlling everything. You can't have a heart-to-heart talk with them. If you desire, hey, let's sit down and talk about this thing. I have some feelings I need to get to share with you. They don't care. They're going to control that. And then, of course, once the discard phase happens and you're out of the relationship, and then you're realizing there's this hoovering, and then you have to block them, and then you unblock them, and all these games, but they always have to keep the upper hand. And that's why going no contact is it's your salvation, is because that your silence, and that's why it's on my channel here. If I just type hello in the chat, my name is Silence and Absence there on that because that's your power. That's your power, is silence and absence, because they can't do anything with that. They can't supersede that. They can't control that. That's how you take your power back. Get out, stay out, no contact, silence and absence. That's your power. And it's the weirdest thing, because it doesn't feel like cognitively, or just even with those words, it doesn't feel like that's power. It just feels like you're running away from something. But it literally is. You can't deal with them in any way.
No, there's no answer.
There's no way to win. The only way to win this game is not to play it.
Right.
Silence and absence. And you have to learn that.
Yes, sir. Before we continue on, I'd like to bring up another person who's also dealt with similar situations. There's a friend of mine from the old indie sphere. I'd like to introduce you guys to Roman of the Empire. What's up, brother?
Howdy. Thank you for having me on. My wife and I have been listening in the kitchen for the last several, since the show started. And we keep pointing at you going, because it's all the stuff that, one, I grew up with, which was, kind of its own thing. And then separately, a situation that my dear friend is dealing with right now with her ex now, who we shall call the insect for points of anonymity. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And yeah, it's just like, wow, everything that you guys have been talking about. It's so many horrible things about the narcissist and what they do to you, to everyone around them. They're like a cancer that just bleeds into everything that they touch, and it's not a quick destruction. It's a very slow, just destroying of the tissue around it until there's nothing left but them.
It's well said. Yeah, they're vampires in every way, and they'll destroy and destabilize you, and come back over and over. I love the whole when they hoover you and then they point the finger at you and say they won't leave me alone. Like, you keep coming back to me. It's the stalkist nature of it. It's you are being stalked by a vampire who's trying to take all of your life force from you, your money or whatever it is. And depending on the type of narcissist, like I said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what type they are. It all runs the same sequence, the same cycle, the same wheel of abuse. And it's all about destroying someone else in order to bolster their false self.
And unfortunately, you can't always get rid of them. Like for me, I was able to do that with the woman that birthed me. Once certain events became clear, it was easy. I closed the wall. I never opened it again. She'll still call. I have her blocked on my phone. I have to check my blocked messages from time to time. She had some dude. This is funny. So it's funny with quotes around it. Funny. So we haven't spoken, like I said, in about 10 years. That's in the chat. About two years ago, I get a package in the mail from some dude. I have no idea who this cat is in Baltimore, Maryland. And it's it's a dissertation on why I should speak to her again. I'm like, who the F is this? What did you do to get this guy to write this thing? It was hilarious and horrible. So I put it in the shredder and I'm like, okay, I accept your terms. And it was gone.
Right.
But that was easy for me to do. But if you're in the court system, which we've talked about, you can't cut the tie. There's always going to be a string. And that's the bad thing about the modern court system. It's because it's not about, are you good or bad? It's about, well, everybody deserves their right to see their kids, even if they've done something horrible to their kids.
Yeah.
Cool. And you can't just cut it off. So there's always going to be that horrible line, which makes the kids unstable and makes your life unstable because you can't just get rid of it. It doesn't, it's literally, you can't make it go away. It's attached to your neck, like Londo in Babylon 5, his watcher.
Yeah, Londo, right.
It's still there. It's never going to go away. So anyway, thank you for having me.
That's a shame. No problem, Raymond. Roman, it's a shame, when you have legalities or kids involved. And how do you gray rock that? How do you defend yourself? How do you remove supply when that person knows they're going to get it
when
through
it's
kids
legally required?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's limited. It's still limited, but the fact that it's still there is just not going to go away until someone dies or the kids become adults, which is a ways off. So you're still looking at how many years of abuse because it's still going to be there.
Mm-hmm. Like kids become weapons.
Yes, 100%. And they don't know. All they know is that now they were okay because things had stopped for a long time. They didn't have to see it, and now this has come up, and now they're miserable again because they know they have to see it again because the court has ordered it. So they're like they're losing their stuff because they hate it, but there's nothing they can do. There's nothing she can do. It's just, it is what it is. And it's like, wow, thank you for the justice in the system. Yay.
Like that. Clint has a question for the panel. Has anyone ever experienced what I call time bombing or stealth appearances, Hollywood style? You mean just getting like snooked by a narcissist? Yes. One showed up out of the blue at my house and wanted to stream from this studio and brought another narcissist with them, and I had to fight.
Wow.
Yeah. Scott, has Narc X or any of your Narc X's, have they ever just like appeared, like stalked you?
No, I moved to a completely different state.
Good man.
Everything's very inconvenient, and this really upset the person because they thought that they were going to have me on the line for a long time if I stayed in the area. But literally the way that the relationship exploded, I went flying 10 hours away, and they weren't expecting that. They were not expecting that. And so it's to my benefit. So
you're able to isolate safely.
It's not convenient even for her to find flying monkeys to bother me and everything. But if I was living still in that little town, it would have been impossible.
So is she still bothering you via, like social media, that kind of stuff, or email or text or that kind of thing? Or have you managed to drop enough walls around that?
I've blocked everything possible. Yeah. Every once in a while, an email will come in from a fake.
And
they want, it's always pretending to be somebody else saying, hey, did you hear that so-and-so is doing it? It's them, or did you see this picture? Because that's going to screw up your day. Any knowledge that you have of something, it's going to even no matter how fast you delete it, if you saw it, it's going to bother you.
No, it wrecks the rest of your day. Yeah. And from the woman that birthed me, she likes to do it around birthdays, holidays. she'll drop those bombs somewhere, and again, it's not. She knows it's not direct because I don't see it, but I look, and I probably just shouldn't do it because I drive myself crazy with it because I know they're going to come. I look in my blocked phone call thing, on the iPhone, and I can see, oh, hey, that's fantastic, that's great. And then you read the text, and it's like, God, why aren't you dead yet? How are you still walking around? There are so many good people alive who have passed on, but you're still there, like the slee stack from Land of the Lost. You have managed to hang on all these years, and it's just horrible. It's just like, man, you're still there. And my wife's
the good
mom
die
has
young.
passed, but it's like you just couldn't do it. And bus accident, lightning strike, random hobo downtown. Who knows how these things happen?
Yeah, I have the
Bring
same
back
thought.
dueling. Can we get the F around and find out, move legislation passed? Let's bring back dueling. All right, narcissistic abuse survivors locked and loaded in love, shoulder to shoulder, and trust and believe that narcissist is going to run out of bullets before they run out of victims. And we're just going to keep shooting. We may lose a few along the way, but just think, they are dying for the sacrifice for the rest of us to watch the dark light leave their black eyes as they go back home to hell. We really need to make this. Bring back dueling, guys. Hashtag that shit everywhere. I love you.
I'm so
I've seen
100%.
Regarding those dark eyes, I literally have seen in the narcissistic rage, I've seen the eyes turn black where you don't believe, you just don't even think, I don't think there's any white in your eyes anymore. I don't know how that happens. Is they dilate so big, or are you now like a shark? Like they call it shark eyes. There's a lot of videos out there called "Why Do the Narcissist Eyes Go Black?" Like I've seen videos like that, and
two things. It's the dilation.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, definitely the dilate. They dilate out. But also the energy that a person is consuming at that time. You are a black soul. You're living off of destroying others and living in dark karma. There's this idea, theory that you have this white aura, and the more bad you do, the more black splotches get thrown onto it. And every now and again, you've got to cleanse your aura and cleanse those things. And that's what people do as they move through life. Narcissists don't do that. They are covered in darkness. So they are projecting that evil. I mean, mine was a narcissistic sociopath. So listen, I saw the narc black eyes every now and again. But let me tell you, the sociopathic glass is the scariest thing. Just look at somebody who does not care at all that that they see you, because they feel such a level of control over you that their eyes sparkle. They're gleeful. I can hurt you in any way I want right now because I own you, my toy. That was scarier to me than the rage, to be honest. I'm sorry, Quill, did you want to say something?
Sorry.
Well, I was pretty good about cutting off narcs for my life once I figured the game out, right? But it seems like I was always like the best boyfriend that some of these women have ever had, and they would dump me and then call me up in like 5-10 years and say like, we should get back together. And I'm like, well, you should have thought about that when you threw me away. We have to have self-esteem. I guess the narkiest person I was involved with back in 2006, back in the MySpace days, I met this woman and she told me everything I wanted to hear. She's like, yeah, we should get married and have babies and get a compound out in the middle of nowhere, 100 dogs, all the shit that I wanted to hear. And we finally met up in Las Vegas. And for 3 days, we didn't leave the hotel room. And on the day that we were supposed to go back and get on the plane and go back to our lives, she started freaking out because she had lost her wedding ring. And I was like, you're fucking married?
Wow.
What have you been telling me this entire time? Holy shit. So I basically, I was used for the weighing, dude. And I was telling myself, oh, I was in love and all this kind of shit. That one hurt, man. But then she ended up having kids with somebody else, and she called up and wanted to get back together, and I was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Right,
That's
been
a
through
lot.
it once.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
A lot to unpack there, dude. It's you know, and it's weird because you hear about guys kind of running scams like that, but you get like a female narcissist, and that's what I would characterize.
The Black Widow exists, and the Black Widow is the woman who birthed me. I'm not. I will not call her mom because she was never that, but she's exactly so. So she's on number 6 right now. Six in the web of weddings. It's wow. That's awesome. I think it was. I'd love to confer with my wife on this. I believe it was number 4, who was like younger than I was, and it was like weird and creepy. It's like, what are you doing? And this is even before I understood exactly what she was. It took me a very long time to come to the realization that she's this thing. All right, fine. But the Black Widow is out there, and
man, Roman, I would love to have a conversation with you off camera sometime, because it seems like you have some information based on what you've been through that I have been looking for. But
I'm
beautiful.
certainly
Beautiful.
I'm always here. The Roman is always here.
Roman, I threw you in the Dragon Core with the rest of us, so if you need to meet up with him, you can find him there. Right.
Yeah. How did you? So being raised by a narcissist,
yes,
and abused and used as supply all your life until you were old enough, and you still were able to keep yourself. You didn't turn into that. And
that's actually not 100% though.
Okay.
I had a lot of personality problems, which I would always recognize when it was happening, but it's like you're watching in a dream, you're watching the car go off the cliff. I was the car going off the cliff, and I would cause problems for myself. I was
Right.
not, and even now I'm not an easy person to get along with, but that's mostly because I'm OCD and a little bit weird. I'm kind of like Sheldon, but not as smart. But I still fall into the trap though, where I say things which I know are very intentionally mean and cruel. And as soon as it comes out, it's like blah blah blah. It's like, oh, and you want to grab those words and bring them back, and you can't. But that's that little bit of narcissist that she's still the stinger is still left in my neck.
But you maintain empathy. That's like the key is maintaining empathy. I would imagine.
Well, you know what? I thank for that though is my wife. She is the opposite. She's the opposite of me. She's
empath.
She's good. She's at 100% good, whereas I am borderline at best. I was the young rocker, cool thing on the block when we met, and she was the nice girl. And and then now we're on 35 years of marriage. But like I said, it's still there. I don't know if I'll ever be able to shed it entirely. Now the evil witch, that's a very complicated story as to how we got from her still being around to cutting the cord. Something very bad happened in our family, and instead of doing the right thing, which would have been coming to my side of things. And I know it's without context, that sounds kind of crazy, but I don't want to give a lot of context right now. She decided to go the other way and circle the wagons of the wrong people, which has always been the way. There's an entire part of my family which I don't speak to, and I won't ever again. But she went that way, but I guess it's just part of what you endure I like I said, I think in the chat I'd mentioned I haven't spoken to her in more than 10 years, not directly.
Roman, I gotta say, dude, I'm that's accountability, man. And I realized I had a narcissistic father through going through this and figured out what he was like, and that helped me to figure out my own issues because I definitely had personality clicks or bad or toxic traits from that experience.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is, man. You know, when I fly in, when I let myself get too angry, I go into narcissistic rage, and that, yeah, brother, and that is the hardest thing to. It's hard to admit, but I'll tell you what, I've been more happy with myself knowing that if I allow myself to go to those emotional extremes, I become like that, so I know when to stop, or I'm able to recognize it, that's accountability. That's not what true narcissists they don't do that. You know?
Right. No, they don't because they don't have that emotional connection with anybody else. It's impossible for them. They have no emotional connection to anybody. It's a self-contained unit. They are the bright, shiny center of their universe, and everybody else is expendable. And that's the way of the narcissist. And
so go ahead.
No, go please.
I'm going to go to the chat. Go ahead and finish your thought if you'd like to.
No, it's just when we are fortunate enough to realize that we have a bad tendency like that, and we can, even if we let it go for a moment and then go, I screwed up.
Right.
At least we can look back and say, oh, I screwed up. They can't do that. They are always right. They are always right, and they are never ever wrong in their little world, because they can't be wrong. If they're wrong, it's a crack. It's a crack in their reality, and they can't allow that crack to happen.
Real quick, Clint asked a question in the chat. He said, we are still in the middle of all this, and she appears randomly, on purpose, and it's so difficult to be productive when she shows up with chronic lies, wrecking my day. That is terrible, because, you know, first off, you know you've got to block that person out. You know that they're not good for you. They're only going to cause chaos, and it's hard, Clint. You know, we as men, at least in my experience, narcissistic women know how to put on the face that they need to put on for us. And whether you got white knight syndrome, Captain Save-A-Ho syndrome, whether you're very empathetic, whether you're, you know, easily seduced, they know how to come at you in order to open the door to start all their bullshit up again, because they have the relationship between supply and narcissist. The supply, you know, the victim of this, has been trained to get that bump of happiness when we have any interaction, any breadcrumbing with a person who treats us horribly that we invested so much time and energy into. They know how to do that easily, so it prolongs your pain. The only thing I can say is, if you need, like, I'm not a cop caller, I ain't that type of person, but listen, if you've got to put a protection of use order on this person to keep them away from you, do it. If all of those means of no contact aren't working. Does anyone else have any advice for Clint?
No, I would. Yeah, I would say a restraining order. If there are parameters that are met, get a restraining order, because it now, and I know it's just a piece of paper. It means as much as it does to the person who will observe it. But if you have it and they show up, you can call the police and they will be removed. And again, but it depends on your circumstance. If they've met the parameters for that, they don't always. If they're careful enough, they won't. You know, that's a very situational kind of response.
Scott, any advice for Clint?
No, I think you've got it there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. A Coil, anything?
I think you guys got it covered.
Yeah, right. Kick ass. Thank you guys so much. All right. Let's see. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else before we go on. Real quick, I want to say, what's up, Kevin? Hail, brother, my international audience out there. Good to see you, man. Thank you so much for being here. And let's see. Janet says, I have seen that look of the eyes sparkling, that gleeful look. And I also saw the stare that drilled a hole through my soul. Whoo! I mean, it's a scary thing when you see a narcissist enraged. It's damn near demonic. That's the way it looks to me. I mean, Coil, what was it like? Explain to everybody what it was like when you had that dealing with the psychopath in Florida. The look in his eyes and how he came off.
Yeah, so it's like a soullessness to it. And this guy, he admitted that he was like attracted to children, and it really creeped me out. Like I felt like he was gonna go and hurt somebody, but I had no proof. And he's also this guy, like I had to completely ghost him because he was telling me how like all his close associates, he starts creating files about them. And I was like, what do you mean, like a big stupid like metal cabinet with like folders? And he goes, yeah. I'm like, do you have one on me? And he goes, yeah, I'm starting one. And I was just I had to completely ghost him, you know. Thankfully he didn't have like guns and knives and shit, but you know, it's like a lack of moral of any sort of like you know,
it's an emptiness.
It's frightening how disconnected some people can get. And I think at different times we've all kind of been guilty of like projecting our own sense of morals onto human society in general. But this guy truly had no soul. And I just hope he hasn't hurt anybody, you know.
Yeah, brother. Thank you very much, Coil.
Wow.
Yeah. Kevin says narcissist eyes give them away, the look of happiness and joy when they see you suffer from their abuse, and that smirk on their faces. Yeah. It's scary to see when they feel like they have nothing power over you. Yeah.
Frickin' smirk. That smirk is the thing you want to smack into next week. I know the smirk. I know the smirk.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a couple weeks ago, Stephen, you did like this photo collage of your journey through your own personal experience, and just seeing that person's eyes. Glad I never met them. That's yeah. And I think that's part of the hard part too, is when people you care about are going through a situation like that, because they typically don't want to listen. And we're kind of like, listen, dude, this person's not good for you. Well, I'm in love. I know what I'm doing. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. You go be in love. And, you know?
Oh, God. Well, hold on. We'll get right back on that for a second. I know where he's going. Real quick, I want to say hail the Hoffcast out there. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you, man. Here, man, I'm throwing a wrench at you. Throw a link to your channel out there for us, man. Good to see you, brother. A fellow survivor and thriver out there in the chat. It's difficult, as like for me, and like everybody knows, it was very public for me. I had a big support system of friends, and I was building a company and building something up, and Narc came into my life, and I became a different person. And it doesn't matter how many of your friends try and tell you, hey, that's a goblin sitting next to you. You're not going to listen. You're like, no, this is the most beautiful person in the world. They love it. That's a goblin sitting next to you. And eventually your friends get tired of telling you, and also watching you destroy yourself, you know, and that goes into the It's this a strange thing that goes into being isolated from your support system. Me and Snow Dub Music and Entertainment, great friends since I first started on YouTube. She got in between us. We got into a fight. We didn't talk for 2 years, you know, and then when everything's over, you come back, you start talking to your friends. And it's you know, they loved you. They just couldn't, you know, you have to take accountability for what you did. Yeah. And in order to do that, in the isolation process of you from your support system by the narc, you end up isolating anyway. And then you have to isolate from them and from everyone to find yourself. And that is where you come to a point where you forgive yourself. You start to heal. You're breaking free of the trauma bond. You're taking accountability for what it is you did, your mistakes, you know, and it how you may have affected others. But the primary goal is healing yourself, because if you can't love yourself, you can't be a friend to yourself, you can't be a friend to somebody else. I couldn't reach out to Snow and be like, dude, I'm sorry for this, all accountability, told him I loved him. If I wasn't a friend to myself, if I didn't remember how to be a friend to myself, you can't do that. So it's a very important aspect of healing. And shout out to all of those out there who support a person who is being targeted for harassment, abuse, stalking by a narcissist, because you are the lifeline of that person. You are, and you might be saving their life just by being there for them. I can't overstate it. Thank you to all my friends. Hey, man, my love to you.
Yeah, dude. Anytime. True friends.
You get a special reach around.
The astral chakra. Well, and that's the thing, though. Once you did take accountability and healed yourself and came back around, you built this awesome channel. And I feel like the work that we're doing is even more elevated than what we used to do. So forming this community, getting all the survivors and the healed people together, talking to each other, sharing stories, that's great. You know, it's the growth of the human spirit, and that's what I'm about. Yeah.
Well, let's go through and finish this video and then give our assessment. Roma, you're only here for the last part, but I don't know if you're familiar with Richard Grannon.
The only time I've seen him is while we've been watching this. So no.
Okay,
I'm not familiar with him, but
all right. Well, we broke his cherry too. You weren't the only virgin, Coil.
Okay. All right. Makes you feel better.
All right. Here we go.
You are the cult leader. I am the cult follower. You are the redeemer, the prophet. I am your humble acolyte and nothing more. Anything that threatens that dynamic creates narcissistic injury, which then creates narcissistic rage. And for that, you will be punished until the end of time in the worst ways imaginable. If they are mafia bosses, good luck, because you now need to go hide. If they don't have the power to actually wipe you off the face of the planet, they'll certainly do everything they can to destroy your reputation. So there's a few key points for you. Hopefully that helps get a little bit deeper in to the nuance and the technicality of narcissistic supply. My recent understanding of narcissistic abuse has had a little bit of an upgrade because I did some work with Mark Vicente. Together we created a course called Narcissists and Cults. It's very important that you are not predator blind. Remember before, you didn't know what a narcissist was, and then you fell into the hands of a narcissist. You also need to understand what a narcissistic cult is. And you need, I think, to take the time out to understand a little bit more about narcissistic cult psychology. All cults are narcissistic. It's explained inside the course in order to fully escape. And you might say, well, I wasn't in a cult. Were you in a family? Probably a cult. If it had a narcissist matriarch or a narcissist patriarch, probably a cult. Were you in a relationship with an abusive boss? Probably a cult. Were you in a relationship with just one person? Well, they recruited flying monkeys, didn't they? They helped to destroy your reputation and smear campaigning, didn't they? That's also a cult. It's a cult light. It's a cult-like activities. Cult light, L-I-T-E is what I'm saying. Even if you're only ever with one person and nobody else was involved, I still claim it was a cult of one, which is the name of my book that's available from Jeff Bezos' slave warehouse as we speak. But if you're interested in learning more about the psychology of cults and narcissism, you can hit this link and you can get the course that I made with Mark Vicente. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your time and for your attention. I look forward to speaking to you all again very soon.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah, very good. So he was talking about narcissistic cults, and as far as like family members, I guess Roman, you had that experience, right, with narcissistic mother?
I did. It was very exciting. Yeah, but of course the problem was it was like my entire childhood, adolescence, partly into my adult life until golly. Into my 30s or even my into my 30s is when I really started being like, I don't like, she's toxic. I don't like talking to her. I wish she was never. And I'll throw just a quick story out. She came out and visited us. My middle daughter was maybe 3 or 4 years old at the time. It was at Christmas. And she decided we weren't giving her enough attention. So she got on the phone and was very dramatic, trying to get a plane ticket home because we weren't paying enough attention to her. And my daughter, who was like 3 or 4 years old, said, why doesn't she love us? And it was like, this is exactly the thing. This is the thing. And the relation, and it's like, wow, you're a horrible person. So yeah, I grew up in it. It's funny though when you're in the mix, when it's just you, you don't necessarily see the problem. But as soon as other people become involved, as soon as you have family members who become involved, then it's you start seeing the axe is chipping away at the problem, and you go, she is a problem. She's a toxic person, but she's a narcissist. That's what it was ultimately. So yeah, I grew up in that. It was and my wife looks back at because she knew me when I was a teenager. We met when we were 15 years old, and she can look back on all my growing up and go here. And I'm like, oh my God, you're so right.
Well, Scotty, was there any type of cult, like flying monkeys, that when you were dealing with your narcissistic relationship, did she have, like a network of people that helped to reinforce her lies?
I was very isolated, but looking back, I realized that, and I talked about two women that were in my life. One was like 20 years ago and one was more recent. And both of them, it was a family situation with numerous siblings and toxic parents. And I don't come from that. I come from a decent family. I didn't know anything about these dynamics, like what Richard was just talking about. It's like the family cult. And I got myself wrapped up into that twice in my life. Not so much flying monkeys. I mean, with the latest relationship, I had some mutual friends, which all of them had to go, all of them, because they all got turned on me. Didn't see that coming, but you just, and it's unfortunate. You lose the possible relationships that you were like, you thought that this is going to be good. Like there was one guy that I was writing music with, like another musician, that's been destroyed. And it's like, I call him and he won't call me back. And I don't even know how that, why, what did she do? What did she say? What happened? Why? And it's like, this guy's another empath. This guy's a really nice, this guy's another like sensitive, like we could have written some really good music together because we both we feel a lot. Right. But something happened where she got to him. And I think through his wife, through Facebook or something like that. And now it's like, now he's not a flying monkey, but that's sort of an example of they get to your network.
They try to get to your network. So it's funny. So the old witch, which is probably the nicest way to call her, she reached out. I got a Facebook message from a girlfriend from the mid 80s. It said, "Hey, your mom just sent me a DM," and I'm like, "Oh boy!" And I just spilled it. I'm like, "Hey, here's what happened," and she's like, "Oh," he's like, "I thought it was weird. Okay, cool. I'm gonna block her."
Right.
Like, thank you. But that's how crazy they are, though. They're time traveling to try to get you. It's insane.
Yeah. Now, actually, I want to talk to Coil about this because something that we do talk about on the channel a little bit. The last time we did a jaunt off across YouTube, we were talking about entertainments and our modern mythologies being used as platforms to espouse bigotry and hate. So he was also talking about mob bosses and these types. Well, the Kathleen Kennedy types and the Pablo Hidalgo types. You talk about the narcissists who work in the entertainment industry, Coil. Like, so we saw their flying monkeys. They were on Twitter, weren't they, brother?
Oh yeah. Yeah, like that whole thing with Gina Carano is very illustrative of that point. Kathleen Kennedy's like personal politics are so she's living in a bubble and she wants to inject everything into her brand of entertainment because she thinks she's right. And then there she is, Gina. When she bites her lip like that, man. All
right, so threw you off. I'm sorry. They look drunk 3POs. Calm down.
Yeah, got to get the blood back in my head now. I know, right? He's gonna pee all over the place. But But so what ended up happening is because they had a political disagreement, she was very unceremoniously fired. She was slandered publicly. She lost potential income and movie opportunities, up until the point where people realized that she was actually correct and didn't say the things that was put in her mouth. You know,
she's being gaslit by Disney, Lucasfilm, by their media outlets, by the flying monkeys on Twitter, the blue-haired weirdos. And the comparison, again, you're dealing with narcissists. One of the things that's really opened my eyes from doing this content is being able to look back at what I did as author Stephen Walton. And I'm like, okay, now I get the toxic behaviors that we got from the Disney Star Wars fans and the STD fans and all those. But they come at like Pedro Pascal. The genesis of this argument. Pedro Pascal puts out a tweet calling 68 million Americans Nazis.
Yeah.
And then she makes a comparison to locking people up, like the beginning of the Nazi occupation.
Which was not incorrect.
No, which is not incorrect.
Nor was it specifically like bombastic. It was just, hey, what we're doing right now is similar to what they did then. And that's she was making an analogy, is what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas he like gave the big finger to more than half the country, and that's I hated that. He's not a good person. I'm holding back. I'm V-chipping myself right now.
His face is very punchable. Yeah.
Yes, that is that. Yes, 100%. Yeah, he put that tweet up, which was actually inflammatory. You know. And it's like, whatever. Okay, Pedro's cool, but Gina, no job for you.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. They fire her, gaslight her, try and destroy her career. And another fun fact is that she was actually one person that the Menace, or what came of the Menace, we supported them. We supported her. And that's a Disney Star Wars production, and we were actually supporting someone in that house. And the narcissist there couldn't handle it. That's positive fuel from their eyes. That's positive fuel being given to someone that they're trying to break down, and they attacked her for it. Like Coil, what is your the outlooks that you've had since doing this content with me and educating yourself? Like, what do you see?
Well, there is a logical progression from all this kind of stuff, because I was talking to you about this a couple weeks ago, Stephen, but like the type of content that we used to do pretty much relies on like negativity, and you're like constantly sitting around waiting for somebody from Disney or Marvel to fuck up so you can make some videos. And at least from my side of the thing, I was trying to inject like more spiritual principles in my media commentary, but I kept on feeling very limited, because I'd sit around and wait for like an episode of,
STD. I don't want to watch STD.
I don't
want to watch Whitaker Who. I don't want to watch none of that.
That stuff. Plus, there's like 10 other channels that already do it like way better than I could with my little channel.
Coil, I'm going to be selfish and say, give me more Daisy Ridley, though. I don't care. I like Daisy. That's it.
Supposedly she's getting a movie. We'll see.
Dude, I want to watch that train wreck. Oh, I'm watching that.
Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy likes to announce things and then like they disappear magically and we never see them again. But as soon as we started doing like the savage spirituality thing and then the narcissistic awareness thing, I'm finding that we're able to help more people. And then what I call the narcissistic relationships, that's the training relationship. That's the one that we had to go through in order to grow as people. And then once we've got a handle on that and have healed from it and forgiven ourselves, we're poised to offer not only our healed perspective, but like our own unique gift as a child of the source to the rest of humanity. And the only way that happens is if you get a little perspective. And sometimes we have to be chewed up and spit out in order for that to happen.
And it's amazing how many people from our indie sphere that have come through and have like because I didn't know what narcissistic abuse was. I didn't know who Narcissist was. I didn't know what it was, years ago. But people like Tim's Talk, Hail Tim's Talk, narc abuse survivor. There's people that have been coming forward for the longest time. Wes Moody, Narcissistic Parents, came over, did an interview. Tina Bojan. There's just a lot of people out there who've been through it, including our beautiful Squeeka Mouse, who says she's currently dealing with a narcissist, and so I truly appreciate the help. Honey, I'm sorry.
Squeeka is a wonderful person, so I'm sorry she's dealing with that.
Yeah, she says they make you feel you're worthless and a horrible person, and it makes it hard to believe when people say you're good. Honey, you show it every week. You've been showing it month after month after month, and every chat, every interaction you've had with any one of us, like you're loved. You are a good soul, and I'm sorry that you have to go through that.
Well, you have a home here, and you're not alone, and you're definitely worth it. So, anything we can do, let us know.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of this community. And you will find in Dragonstorm, there's everyone out here is loving each other, helping each other out, giving advice. This is a place where we can just talk about it, get it out of our systems. Get advice or get support from others. I love building this channel. This has been more fun for me than building author Stephen Walt. Not that I didn't like the anger. I like to be the fire preacher, the fan, the menace every now and again. But it really, this has become my home. This chat, you guys supporting everyone. The panels are growing with wonderful people, and I'm glad to see it. By the way, please make sure to subscribe, follow Scott Clark, which is pinned in it's in the description. It's also pinned in the chat. Please take a look at his link tree. Please subscribe to Roman. And all of the wonderful creators up here, and Coil, you can give him a sub. He needs it.
My massive 600 following. Yeah.
Poor Immortal Coil. He's giving his plasma.
Oh my God.
He's gonna look like Ryan if he doesn't stop selling his blood. Right? And we love Ryan, but nobody wants to look like Ryan.
I don't even have any skin anymore. Look at me. My head is completely bare.
Hail to Ryan Roger Athy. Squeeka, you're always welcome here. Thank you, honey, for being here. Much love to you. And just like everybody out there, Jillian and Elspeth and MC Mike does and Clint out there talking to one another, and I greatly appreciate it. Don't stop. Don't stop Hoffcast out there. Another fucking survivor and thriver, YouTuber, great channel. Please check him out. He says, my ex gave me black eyes and fat lips. Damn, that didn't include the mind games. Thank God I didn't marry her. Dude, you went through physical abuse. Man, I mean, as a man, I've been attacked once and thrown. I was attacked, trapped in a house, did not hit this woman until I had to shove her aside to get outside. And I was arrested. I got my ass whooped, and I was you can't. What do? You call the law? You can't do that because they're going to believe her. You did not deserve to go through that, Hoff. I've been friends with you for years. I've seen you cast. I've seen your passion. Never deserved any of that. You're a good dude. You're a loving man, and man, I hope you're healing well, brother. Dude. I mean, have any of you had to deal with a woman who was handsy?
Not personally, no. But
hold on for 1 second. Scott, is there any advice that you could give to Hoff or any words of encouragement?
Physical distance. I mean, once you realize I won't name names or anything, but I had somebody draw first blood on me. And this was somebody who first love bombed me. The whole cycle went, and during the discard, next thing I know, I'm literally bleeding in my face. And what are you gonna do? Do I keep trusting this person? No, you have to have boundaries in and of yourself. You have to say, that's the end of this relationship. That's the end of this relationship. And now it's physical distance. That would be my recommendation. That's what I did. Literally, I moved about 4 states away from Tennessee to Texas. And what are they going to do? Create a network of flying monkeys in my area? Good luck. Have fun with that.
How would you? I'm sorry, brother.
You have to just distance yourself, and you can't. You have to know what they really are. This is who you really are. Who they really are is who you saw at the end. That's who they are. And you got to stop lying to yourself that the person in the beginning is coming back, because that's not coming back.
Mm-hmm.
That was the candy. That was the candy in the van. Is the first person.
That was the worm on the
rest
hook.
of it is what happens after you get in the van. That's what the rest of it is.
Wow. Yeah.
Scott, how have you been working on your reclaiming your self-worth? I mean, you've isolated, but like, how are you doing as you recover from that situation? Like, how are you feeling about yourself? How are you healing?
Well, thank you. I have up and down days. There's some days I wake up and it's like the first thing you think of is the trauma. Literally, it's been like 2 years and you still wake up and you're like, ugh, is this ever going to go away? And I literally have to like have routines. I go to the gym, maybe run a little bit. Maybe I start thinking, okay, maybe for the next few months, I'm going to start putting some muscle back on again. Cause I did that and then I let it go. And then you go back or you start getting physical. One thing I do is I practice meditation, breathing exercises to get this stuff out of your mind, to center yourself and to take stock of my feelings. I do guided meditations with an app on my phone called Calm, CALM. And, if I don't take like absolute definitive action of doing self-care, I will just kind of mindlessly hang out in my feelings. And I've never thought myself happy. You have to pay attention to what you're thinking about, but you also have to, I bought this book called Don't Believe Everything You Think. And because what we think after we've been through trauma, we're going to think dark a lot. And you can't think yourself happy. You have to do yourself happy, which means you have to get your endorphins moving. You have to go out and exercise. You have to go to a park, take off your shoes and ground yourself in some grass or something. You have to do those things, but you can't sit at home on the couch and think yourself out. It's not going to happen. Yeah. You're going to get depressed. So you have to learn how to stop thinking, actually, and meditation.
No, that is Scott. That's a great. What you just said is fantastic. Stop thinking, do stuff, keep busy.
Yeah.
The more busy you are, the less your mind can dwell on the other. You just keep doing whatever. Make things for yourself to do. Make a list. Make a monthly, weekly, daily list of tasks you want to get done, and make sure they get done.
Right. And then you trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that kind of goes to what it's what kind of Squeeka is asking us. She's in that stage where she's early healing, and she says, how do you feel like it's not your fault? I mean, seriously, it happened enough. Maybe one starts thinking they are the issue. What if I'm really just as bad person as they are?
No.
And having the self-awareness to question the self shows that you're, narcissists don't do that. Narcissists, they have no self-reflection skill. They're just obsessed with getting the energy from the other person,
Okay.
I'm reading the chat. Wow.
What I would say to Squeak is your last point there. What if I'm really just a bad person and they're right? Okay, I went through this too. And one thing that I've learned by watching hundreds, if not thousands of videos on narcissism in the last 2 years is that it's not, what I had to realize for myself is that it wasn't even personal with them. You feel it's happened to you personally, so you think it's a personal attack, these people doing it, but they're doing it to all kinds of people also around you that you don't even know about. They have little secret. There's so much going on, little secrets everywhere. They didn't actually attack you personally. It's not you personally. They're doing this to everyone. And it is just how they operate. And you just got in the line of fire. It's like if you got shot, poof, and you're like, oh, and you take it personally. The reality is somebody's just shooting. They didn't care who you are. You just got shot. So it's not your fault. Somebody else has a gun and they're aiming it at the public. It's not your fault. You're just in the public. And you didn't know about this anyway. So it's not your fault. And it's not even.
And I'll add to
personal.
that. If you're asking yourself that question, Squeeka, you're not the bad person.
Well said, right there.
That's it. I mean, it is as simple as that. They don't think like that. They don't think like that. And a bad person almost never sees themselves as the bad person. They're the hero or the victim of their story, but they're never the bad person. They're never the aggressor. They're never the villain.
Yeah,
You're
just
not
ask Hitler.
Right. So that's, I mean, for my limited experience in my goofy life, that's what I would offer up. If you're asking the question, you're not the bad person.
They're not right. You're just the type of person that didn't see it coming. You're the type of person that would get hurt by what they're doing, and they feed off of you being hurt because you didn't see it coming. You are nothing like these monsters.
And you're most people. Most people are that. Most people don't see this coming. Like I said, it's the candy at the van. Oh, yes, I would like candy. Then you get in the van and then your life becomes this tumultuous thing. Most people don't understand when they're getting into the relationship with one of these things, what it is. They're nice. They are, they give you all the glamour, all the glory, all the praise. And then once that trap is sprung, like the Venus flytrap, you are stuck. And it's going to slowly consume you with its hate, its vitriol, and suck every bit of life out of you. But in the beginning, you don't see that. You don't see that coming because most people trust people. You trust their best instincts. You trust, oh, they love me. They clearly love me. They are showering me with, all this praise and gifts and things. And then it stops. My default is trust no one. That's a bit of a hard life thing for people. But if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. If they're doing this stuff, if they're showering you with all these things at the beginning of the relationship, tread lightly because you're probably walking into a minefield.
Well said, Robin. Well said. Yeah. Squeeka, there's your answer, sweetheart. I know we talked about that earlier, so you already know my answer. But I'm pretty much reflected in everyone here. Stop overthinking it, sweetheart. You're a sensitive person. You're a good person. You just as the narcissist is unable to understand what love is and what you are giving, you are unable to understand how a person could have a lack of empathy. And that's just simply what it is. It's an acceptance that you are different. You are built different than that person. They will not understand the pain that they put you through. Excuse me. Real quick, I'm sorry, guys. Angela, what the fuck is going on in the chat right now, honey? All right, listen. You're acting wreck. You're acting wreck. I'm sorry, guys. The Dragonstorm Harem acts up every now and again. What are you doing out there, honey? Oh my lord! And listen. What you're recruiting other people? Poor Squeak. What did poor Squeeka say? Hold on. Okay, we're not talking about pets. Keep looking up. Wrong time to say that. Bad time. Bad time.
Some heavy petting.
I know you probably weren't going in that direction, but that's where it ended up. And Squeeka, are you scared of a black mamba? Honey, get a rabbit. It'll help you. Listen, narc sex wasn't that good. You're going to have to rub him out yourself. Don't go back. All right? I don't care. He was a semantic. He was good in bed. I understand, but don't do it. Okay? God, Angela, you're causing problems out here, sweetheart. Jesus. No, I love you guys.
Oh my God, that was so horrible.
That's the Dragonstorm Harem, Roman. They're out there. These women are they're abuse victims, dude. They've been through it. They get a little nutty now and again. We all do. And we all understand that we're all crazy. So thank you very much. As far as Richard Grannon goes, I watched a few of his videos, like I said early on. Didn't really get into him during the beginning of my healing last year, but I have recently. I love how analytical and descriptive he is. And the information that it's facts, and it's the perspective that he gives you is about as clear cut as it can be. And I love the little bit of grit that he has. I'm kind of an angry narc channel. F that narcissist, bring back dueling. But he has a little bit of that in there. But it's very informative. He's something I think that I would actually like to transfer a little bit of this channel into how he presents this, because I'm very impressed. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate you and all the work that you've done. Scott, what did you think of Mr. Grannon?
Oh, I think he's great. He's very for me, he's very palatable. He just seems like a real guy. He talks just like a real guy. He's not one of these university professor types. He just, and especially he's got this mohawk kind of thing going on. But he definitely uses some big words sometimes, and he goes into this analytic stuff that I have to like replay and listen to that. What did he just say? What did that even mean?
Right. Yeah, he got me a few times too.
But that's good for me because it means I'm going to grow. Like I don't want to hear stuff that I've heard 100 times. You tell me something that makes me go, wait, what? Let me rewind, because that means it's going to level me up, and he definitely he'll level you up.
Oops, that's the wrong one. Sorry, I was trying to work out the settings. I didn't mean to do all that. Oh, now it's messed up again.
Oh my God.
Now I ain't even sharing. I'm sorry, Roman. It's your turn. Sorry to shake it up.
He'll level you up.
Yeah. Roman, what did you think of Mr. Grannon?
I enjoyed it. Actually, I thought he was very good. Not too dry, which is nice. And I actually do like his analysis, his breakdown of the way things go. It may not be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. But I actually liked it. I'm gonna go look at this more. I'm probably gonna recommend him to my friend so she can watch these videos too, because they are breakdown videos, and that's nice. You sit, you watch, you go, huh? All right, notes. So yeah, I think it was a good choice. I think it was an absolutely good choice.
Nice. Immortal Coil, what's your take on Mr. Grannon?
So again, this is my first time listening to him. He had a very concise thought, which leads me to think that the video was scripted because he painted such a vivid picture.
Oh, it's definitely scripted. He wrote that out. Yeah, that was well done.
Yeah. So everything was there was no wasted words coming out of his mouth, and you could tell like he's dedicated to the craft, and he's thought about this thing a great deal. It makes me wonder who his narcissist was and what he went through with that. But I think I also family. Really, yeah. But I think a good sign is when we'll pause the video and start riffing on what he was saying, and then start the video again, and he'll start picking up where we were going anyway. So it bodes well for our sense of healing and the type of direction we want to take the channel, and that we would arrive at similar conclusions to him. So he's pretty good though. He sounds Scottish or something.
Right. That's the takeaway. Well, it's good. He sounds Scottish or something.
That's the most. He's gonna go watch Braveheart now.
There you go.
What Janet Cross? He's a narc. What?
Yeah, I was gonna go through the chat.
Okay.
Richard Grannon.
I'm like, it's just like.
It happens. Richard Grannon is very good, not my cup of tea. And then Janet says he is a narc. I hadn't heard that. There are self-aware narcissists out there, like Sam Vakin. We covered him a couple weeks ago. But like a healed person who's actually helping others, even if they, I don't know. I don't know if he has NPD or not, but if somebody's healed and putting out information to help.
Yeah,
I don't think he's a narcissist.
Serial killers is good.
Yeah.
I've seen Richard do videos where he says, okay, I'm the narc. And then he goes into this whole spiel where he plays that part, but he'll say that sentence. And if you don't know the context within him, where he said that sentence, you'll think, did he just say he's a narc? But he's saying, okay, I'm the narcissist and I'm going to blah, 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 blah. And then he'll play that part. So I don't think he's a narc.
Keep looking up. You said RG narc helped me big time. Clint says, Richard's my all-time favorite. He's helped me realize that I wasn't insane yet. You're nuts. Listen, if you're in this chat, you've been through what we've been through. You're nuts. We're all a little nuts. It's just what it is. Accept it. We have fun with each other's nuts. Wait, let me go.
Had to be a better way to say that.
You gotta play the Spaceballs thing now.
Stop reading my fucking mind, Immortal Coil.
No, go past this. Past this part. In fact, never play this again.
God damn it. I didn't say that. Thank you, Clint. Angela says that I think Richard Grannon is a narcissist like Sam Backman. I mean, that's okay.
So he's like the Dexter of narcissism awareness?
I guess he is self-aware narc. Yeah, okay. Janet says he's self-aware. Jillian says, sounds like that to me. Oh, okay. Did Walton say Sam Vacuum? No, I didn't say Sam Vacuum. I didn't know. I know what this. Stop putting words in my mouth.
Carpet cleaner.
Kevin says that Grannon uses a rather flawed approach like NLP. It is not recommended from a psychotherapeutic perspective. Really? Kevin, I don't even know exactly what the fuck you just said. So could you let me know?
Definitely.
He's talking about neurolinguistic programming.
Okay, what's he saying, Coil? Translate, you smart ass. Fucking nerd. Come on.
That's his critique of Grannon's delivery. So he's thinking it's he's trying to plant a seed inside your head about your perception of him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And yeah, there's a skill like neurolinguistic programming. They'll anchor a physical touch with an idea, and so like if they touch the back of your hand and then they say something, all they'd have to do next time is just touch the back of your hand, and you kind of arrive at the similar conclusion. It's a whole science. Pickup artists use it quite a bit.
All right. Well, I get there's a lot yet. The girls out here, the harem's acting up. There's that called narc. They're pointing and saying narc. Then Sam, Grannon and Vankin had a big fallout, and the NPD both came out. Well,
okay. I didn't know that.
Constant supply, right? I mean, they got supply off one another. Did they put anything up each other's butt? No, we're not going there. All right.
Oh.
So.
Whoa.
All right.
There's a line there.
Yeah, there was a lot. I'm sorry. It's a narc thing. I got all this. It's like semantic narcs like to put things up their butt. And I didn't know what was going on. They're cerebral. They're obviously cerebral. They're not putting any random things up their ass, ladies, at truck stops. You're fine. It's okay. I guess we'll do outros. It's about 2 hours, 20 minutes in. Scotty, tell everybody where they can find you, what you do, and about yourself, buddy.
Well, thank you. Well, I'm my channel that I'm promoting right here. I'm gonna start doing videos just by myself, and it's literally just at GOSONC on YouTube, and this is going to be my Narcissist. But I have another channel which I have 90-something thousand subscribers, and that one I do Bible studies and talk about the like Bible prophecy and the timeline and what the Bible says is coming in the future and stuff that happened in the past and how the big picture plays out. So that's where I got a following for like doing that kind of thing. And I do a lot of graphics and video editing, and I put a lot into that kind of thing. But that's not where you're going to find any narcissistic abuse stuff. So
that's really cool. You just got Immortal Coil and Astral Erection, Scott.
Well, I'm really interested in antediluvial records, and a lot of what went into Genesis came from earlier sources. So it'd be interesting to talk sometime.
Yeah, let's see. If you put me, let's see, if I go like this, I could show like a chart or something, some of my work.
Sure. Sure, brother.
If I can do this.
It'll be screen share. Yeah.
All right. Where is my Affinity Designer? No, it doesn't want to work.
Pushing buttons. Are you being a nerd?
I'm trying to figure out.
You're being a broke nerd.
Okay, there we go. All right. So this. Like this is sort of a timeline from Christ to sort of Jesus. The Bible says that Jesus is going to rule and reign for 1,000 years. That would be this over here, 1,000-year kingdom of God. Jesus is coming back here. His death, burial, resurrection was over here. And there's, I explain all these types of things with Bible verses, but this is just a simple artwork of things that I do like this. And there's sort of a close up of Satan getting cast down in the middle of the 70th week of Daniel and, things like that. So
wow.
That's just some artwork and that kind of thing. And so I make videos about that, and people seem to enjoy it. And I got kind of a following over there. But
90,000 people. Yeah,
that's good following, dude.
Then I went to narcissistic abuse, and I have another topic that's on my mind, right?
Yeah. I mean, all these things are kind of related. I was talking to Stephen about that. Spiritual development, following your healing is ultimately what the whole trip was about anyway. And it'd be interesting to compare notes sometimes. Are you into the Apocrypha?
Yes.
Okay.
I use a King James. I believe that's the best English translation that we have. But I'm not one of these KJV onlyists that think it's perfect. I don't believe it's a perfect translation, and I know that because I've studied it quite extensively. But I'm also not turned off being like, oh, we're not allowed to look at Enoch or Maccabees or anything, or Jubilees. Like, there's information out there. You just have to be careful with what you're doing and try not to go nuts with it.
That's true. That's true.
Cool Scott, you would you put both your channels in the chat for people so they can subscribe? Roman, tell everybody what you're about, what's going on. And your YouTube life.
Well, first I want to ask Scott, is Elvis alive, and have you seen him lately?
I saw him on Instagram.
Sorry, that's my Ghostbusters. That's my Ghostbusters joke. So I'm on every Thursday at 5 Pacific Standard Time. We do a nerd show. Sometimes it's a free reign show where we talk about the news of the week. Sometimes it's very specific where we dial in and do deep dives into movies. Sometimes we're doing a series for as long as the series lasts. So we do just kind of nerd stuff over here. We have a really terrific panel. I try to bring my regulars back and have guests on every week, but it's a good time. We've been doing music stuff lately, talking about my show last week was heavy metal from 2000 to 2024. That was a weird one. I learned a lot. Most of it's from the Nordic region. But so, yeah, it's a good time. We have fun. It's a real loose panel. We're not real heavy. We don't talk about heavy topics. I swear a lot on my show, and there's a lot of drinking, but that's what we do. It's a good time over at the Empire. So if you want to drop by and just kind of hang out and have a loose Thursday and go, that was fun, come on by. It's a hoot. So thank you for having me tonight. I thank you for bringing me on. Like I said, I keep pointing. I was pointing in my kitchen through the entire first half of the show. My wife and I like, and then you sent me the thing. I'm like, thank you. So yeah, I very much appreciate this. And I want to say, if she's still listening, if it wasn't for my wife, I might have become one of them. It's entirely possible. So I'm blessed that she came into my life. Become one of them. It's entirely possible. So I'm blessed.
You're muted, Stephen.
Thank you for telling me that, or I wouldn't have known.
I was really trying with the things.
You did, and I was like, "What is he doing?" Because I'm a little autistic, so like Coil knows that.
He's signing for the hearing impaired.
Why is Roman trying to poorly say what I am saying?
I was so dead, bro. Like, what is he doing? I don't understand. Roman, throw a link out to your channel in the chat if you would, sir.
Right on.
And the girth of the galaxy, Immortal Coil. Tell them about you, bro.
Well, what's happening, my savage friends? You're listening to Immortal Coil. You can find me over on my channel. We do the Savage Spirituality Show late Saturday night, early Sunday morning, depending on which neck of the woods you're in. Steven's the co-host. I I have 600 subs, 602 actually, but I still need about 100 more watch hours in order to get
Ooh, you're down to 100, dude?
Yes. Well, yeah. So we need to, just randomly throughout the day, if you can open up a playlist. I created one called Modern Savage Spirituality. It has all the appearances with Steven since he's been on the show.
What he's saying is turn the playlist on and don't listen to my shows with Steve. That's what he's saying. And I understand, Coil. It's all right. I'd be embarrassed by me too.
Well, it's just one of those things, man. Like I'm hanging out with you guys. You guys have thousands of subs. I'm stuck at 600, and I've been stuck there for a couple of years. The kind of stuff I like to talk about isn't, sexy for the algorithm. I'm not like breaking stuff, and I'm not like reviewing gigantic houses. I'm talking about the evolution of human spirit. I'm talking about my own metaphysical experiences and encounters with non-human beings, and that's just not as easy to promote as a chick shaking her tits, so
bullshit. What you do is you draw a picture of an alien chick and you boning her, right? And then her shaking her. All right, then go all in.
I've actually been working on a book, and I used to illustrate stuff like that. I actually sent Steven some samples of work, so who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get it off the ground. But we're trying to
Kama
get
Sutra from Orion's belt.
There you go. Well, we're trying to get Dragonstorm up to 50,000, so that we can start going on the road and like coming to your town and sleeping on your couch and eating your food.
Yes, Coil is talking about the Trainwreck Express. Two damaged fucks traveling the world, convincing you of your worth, teaching you the middle finger boundary, the art of savage spirituality, filling souls and stuffing holes. We are definitely an abuse channel. We promise. We are here for recovery. This is what we do. Thank you, Coil. And what are we going to do? We're going to go sleep on their couch.
We're going to eat their food.
And then what are we going to do?
We're going to build a neat fort.
You're not going to want us to leave.
That's right. We're going to wear newspaper hats and play with wooden swords in your living room while we're
totally are like little
food.
Minecraft diamond swords. Like we're going off the phone with. This is a Narc Abuse channel. We promise. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you. All the fun in the chat, all the joking. Our wonderful panelist, Scotty. Please subscribe to him. Please subscribe to Roman of the Empire. And you know what? I didn't really get to say this, Roman, but you thank you, brother, because it's rare, especially on Facebook. Like some people, whether they see it or whether they don't, I don't know if I get suppressed or whatever, but I know that one name that is consistently for like almost a year now, always liked my stuff, always put a comment on there. You've been supportive of me for so long, and it's meant a lot to me, brother. So thank you for being here and for showing further support. Man, my love to you and your wife and your beautiful wife who helped save you from the fire, man. That's a wonderful story. That gives me hope and love again, and that's something that people in the chat, some people in the chat need, like Squeeka Mouse, hail sister. You're going to heal, honey. Everything's going to be fine. Know your worth. Commit to strong boundaries. Do not let that hovering hobgoblin back in. It's not worth it. It's all about lies, and it's all about devaluing and taking your light. And you are a shine of bright light in the darkness of the world, sweethearts. Don't let that shine. Don't let anyone convince you of anything different. Kevin's out there. Keep looking up. Wonderful Dragonstorm community people here every single week. Clint, thank you, brother. Thank you to Jillian so much. Coil's Boo and a member of the Dragonstorm Harem. You should go back and look what Angela was saying earlier, Jillian. All right, she was starting trouble.
She'll make you blush.
She was like, yeah, look, you gotta calm down. We are abuse victims, all right? We men have fifis too, all right? You can't get us too excitable, all right? So calm down. Janet's out there. Janet, thank you so much. Active in the chat today. So much wisdom, so much love. There's Troublemaker right there. Angela, thank you so much. Much love to you, sweetheart. And everyone else that my MC Mike does. Sam Napkin. I didn't say napkin. Why are you giving me shit still, Mike? God damn it. We're dudes. We're supposed to stick together. No, I really appreciate everybody that's come through. Hoffcast came through. It's so important to me that I'm doing this for the right reasons. And that is really trying to help everybody with their healing journey, giving a little bit of laugh, a little bit of insight, learning things myself about myself, while working along with the chat with people that come up on the panel and work with Dragonstorm. It's all of this is about learning and growing to me, from a spiritual perspective, but really just generally healing. Love yourself, my brothers and sisters. Please do understand your worth and don't take any shit from anybody. Remember to support your independent creators out there, whether they are making comic books, they are making books, they are creating channels. And if you have a voice and you want it heard, pick up a phone, pick up your tablet, create a channel, and speak your truth. Get out there and become a part of this community that we are building. I love my Dragonstorm community out here. I am author Stephen Walton, the fandom menace historian. I am also Lodonis, Raven, Wolf, Dragonstorm, Ysir, and Sage. Hail to all my fellow survivors and thrivers from narcissistic abuse. Please remember to wash your hands and then wash your ass. Very important. All right? And be good to each other, for God's sakes. And suffer no fools.
When you're born in this world, you're given a ticket to the freak show. And when you're born in America, you're given a front row seat.
Listen, I didn't see Beth in the chat tonight, guys. So look, if you see that dirty bitch, tell her wash her ass. She always says that she needs to be told to wash her hands and wash her. Like, nobody told me to wash myself today. I don't know where she's at. Maybe she's playing with her tarot friends. All right, but go find Beth and tell her I said, wash your ass. Thank you.